Once upon a time, there was a young woman named Sarah who lived alone in a small cottage on the outskirts of a small town. She was an avid reader of horror and paranormal books and often found herself fascinated by the supernatural. One day, Sarah began to experience strange occurrences in her home. Doors would open and close on their own, footsteps would be heard in the hallways when no one was there, and she would feel a presence watching her even when she was alone. At first, Sarah tried to ignore the strange happenings and put them down to her overactive imagination. But as the incidents increased in frequency and intensity, she realized that something was not right. One night, as she lay in bed trying to sleep, she heard a voice whisper her name. She sat up in bed, but saw no one. Frightened, she reached for the lamp on her bedside table, but it wouldn't turn on. Suddenly, the room was filled with a cold, unnatural wind, and she heard the voice again, this time louder and clearer. Sarah gathered the courage to get out of bed and make her way to the living room. As she walked, she noticed that the floorboards beneath her feet were creaking, as if someone was walking with her. She finally made it to the living room, but as she reached for the light switch, she felt a hand on her shoulder. She spun around to see a ghostly figure standing before her, its eyes filled with anger. Terrified, Sarah ran out of her cottage and into the safety of her car. She drove straight to the local police station and reported the incident. The police were skeptical at first, but after investigating the cottage, they found evidence of paranormal activity and agreed to help Sarah. With the help of a paranormal investigator, Sarah learned that the ghost was that of a woman who had been murdered in the cottage many years before. The woman's spirit was trapped in the cottage and was seeking revenge on those who had wronged her. Sarah was able to lay the ghost to rest by finding out who the murderer was and bringing them to justice. She moved out of the cottage and never looked back, but she would never forget the terrifying experience that she had faced. After the experience in her cottage, Sarah became fascinated with paranormal investigation and decided to pursue it as a career. She trained with the best paranormal investigators in the country and soon became a well-respected expert in the field. Sarah was often called upon to investigate haunted houses, cemeteries, and other locations where people reported strange occurrences. She was known for her scientific approach to paranormal investigation, using technology and her expertise to separate fact from fiction. One day, Sarah received a call from a local museum. They had been experiencing strange happenings in the building and asked her to come and investigate. When she arrived, she was greeted by the museum curator who told her about a new exhibit that had just been opened. The exhibit was a collection of artifacts from an ancient civilization that was said to possess supernatural powers. Sarah was skeptical, but she decided to take the case anyway. As she entered the exhibit, she felt an overwhelming sense of unease. The air was thick with an unfamiliar energy, and she felt as if she was being watched. She started her investigation by examining the artifacts, but as she did, she suddenly felt a strange force pulling her toward one of the pieces. It was a small statue of a deity with eyes that seemed to follow her wherever she went. The more she looked at it, the more she felt drawn to it. Before she knew it, Sarah found herself standing in front of the statue, her hand reaching out to touch it. As soon as her fingers made contact with the statue, she was transported to another realm where she encountered entities unlike anything she had ever seen before. Sarah eventually returned to the museum, but she was changed by her experience. She had discovered a world beyond our own and had been given a glimpse into the paranormal realm. She was determined to continue her investigation and uncover the secrets of the supernatural. From that day on, Sarah dedicated her life to paranormal investigation, always seeking the truth about the paranormal world and the entities that inhabit it. Sarah's journey into the world of paranormal investigation was not without its challenges. As she delved deeper into the mysteries of the supernatural, she often encountered forces that were dangerous and unpredictable. Tragically, her passion for paranormal investigation led to the death of some of her close family members. Her younger brother, who had always been skeptical of her work, accompanied her on one of her investigations. They were investigating an abandoned asylum that was said to be haunted by the spirits of the patients who had died there. Despite Sarah's warnings, her brother was drawn to a dark corner of the asylum and suddenly disappeared. After searching for hours, Sarah found his lifeless body lying on the floor with a look of terror on his face. The cause of his death was never determined, but Sarah believed that he had encountered a malevolent spirit that had taken his life. The loss of her brother was a turning point for Sarah. She became even more determined to uncover the truth about the paranormal realm, but at the same time, she was filled with a sense of caution and respect for the dangerous forces that she was encountering. Sarah also lost her mother to a mysterious illness that was believed to have been caused by her exposure to the supernatural. Her mother had always been supportive of her work, but she had never fully understood the risks that were involved. Despite the tragedy that she faced, Sarah refused to give up on her quest for knowledge. She continued to investigate haunted locations, communicate with spirits, and seek answers to the mysteries of the paranormal realm. As she gained experience and knowledge, Sarah became a respected authority in the field of paranormal investigation. She wrote books, gave lectures, and trained other paranormal investigators, passing on the lessons that she had learned through her own experiences. Sarah's legacy lived on, and she was remembered as one of the greatest paranormal investigators of all time. Her bravery, determination, and unwavering commitment to the truth inspired generations of researchers who followed in her footsteps, seeking answers to the mysteries of the supernatural world.